We're the Gridiron Girls. You're in tune with the game.
Great escapes on the field, escapades off of it. That's the 7th week here at the Gridiron Girls, and we're ready to give it all to you. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb.
I'm Chelsea Poe.
And I'm Shauna Adkison.
Gridiron Girls podcast back for another week. Glad you could join us. Let's get right into it. Shauna, what's news to you?
What's news to me? So we've got a lot going on here in the world of LGBT sports, and we have to talk about the Pride ban. In NHL, they banned all affinity groups from having any sort of Pride nights and having them relate to on the field or on the field ice. Forgot what sport we were talking about for a second. Not really. Anyways, my point more being, it's some shenanigans, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the ways in which they're going to do some, I hope that players step up, and because I have loved working for an organization that, I've gotten to go to multiple Pride nights through the Cavs, the Guardians, and the AHL, the Lake Erie Monsters for hockey. And Pride nights are awesome. They're so full of community and life and vibrancy. And especially on this National Coming Out Day, I just think it's so important to have those forms of community. And I am so sad to see the NHL taking a step backwards.
I am in total agreement with that, and I'm feeling the same way. And if you check me and others out on Outsports this week, you're going to see that this is a story that's not going away. Chelsea, what's news to you?
Well, first off, I want to talk about all the AHL visibility on our podcast that we're less than 4 minutes into, and we already have me representing the Grand Rapids Griffins and you bringing up the Lake Erie Monsters. Or are they the Cleveland Monsters now? I don't know which it is anymore.
I thought it was Lake Erie, but I could be wrong. I could be let's see.
I think they might have switched at some point.
They might have switched.
Yeah, so I went to the NASA's Space App Hackathon in the Bay. My whole thing is, if we focus on so many other parts of space travel with getting the peak performance from astronauts, obviously we need to talk about sexual wellness as well. So my whole idea was to create an app that would have some sort of visual, audio, ASMR, maybe even interactive thing that astronauts can use to get off, because obviously if you don't masturbate for 2 months, you're not absolutely operating at max capacity.
Is that proven? Wait a minute, is that proven?
Oh, of course.
That's actually where the saying "one small cock for man, one giant cock for man."
I mean, I guess we are now going to get into the conversation about all these athletes who are I have to come the day before, and other athletes being I can't come at all, or it hurts my performance. But I think just brain-wise, I think you do need to have sexual wellness as well as any part of that. And obviously, if you're in space, you can't pull up Pornhub on the most secure computer in the world. So I think just having some sort of offline app that's accessible to is really important. So I'm all about bringing porn to space and have that be part of it as we go into other planets in the future. The college football tie-in to this actually is UCF just revealed they're all Canaveral blue uniforms they're wearing against Oklahoma State on November 11th for their annual Space Unite. And they've had some really cool jerseys in the past. So I highly suggest checking that out.
For me, what's news to me is, first off, Gary Bettman, boo! Horrible. Absolutely horrible. This Pride Tape, Pride jersey ban. This is ridiculous. And just a note to all the people that are complaining about this, let's make it perfectly clear. Before this ban, the thing about Pride Tape was it wasn't mandatory for anybody. Jerseys weren't mandatory for anybody. Teams could wear them. Players could wear them before warm-ups. Players could put on the tape or not put on the tape. It was the choice of the players. But clubs said, you know what? Let's have a consensus and let's have a group of people doing it together. I have no problem with that. And now there's a ban because one or two people complained about, there was the Russian players who complained that, oh God, if Putin find out, they'll hurt me. Or there's the guys like, praise the Lord and check you against the boards. That sort of thing. This is nonsense. And Gary Bettman is doing what Gary Bettman always does. Whenever the NHL does a good thing, he does two bad things to mess it up. Also, it is National Coming Out Day, and later in the program, I'm going to give you a piece of my coming out story. My coming out story just happened a year ago.
I actually have something really important to say. I'm transgender.
I'm cis.
I just thought you all should know.
You're
I know.
Trans?
Wow.
How? Wait, how?
I'm transportation. Anyways.
Everybody, she's going to be here all week. And I just want to send a note to Republican State Representative Josh Williams. You stink.
I honestly thought for a second when I was looking at the pod document, I thought that was a quarterback in the NFL currently, and I was like, I don't even know who that is. What team does he play for?
No, that's Josh Johnson. I like him.
I flipped those two in my head.
Doug Williams, neither of whom are this man who put on an absolutely shameful display in the Ohio State House today. Just absolutely grilling his opponents in a way that just attacking not just youth, but also adults. Because right now we've got House Bill 183, which bans trans people from using their appropriate bathrooms, not just in grade school, not just in high school, but through college and for any and all staff and anyone in school.
It's not needed.
It's not needed. It's shameful. We moved past bathroom bans years ago, and I think it's so absolutely a sign of how prejudiced and bigoted that they are to keep bringing up and attacking trans people who just want to, live their lives.
Exactly. And also, I want to send a quick shout out to Trans Ohio. A certain person with certain access to one of our hosts spoke at those hearings Wednesday, and I just want to put a little respect on Dora Atkinson's name right now for the excellent job done in those hearings. I just want to put a little respect on that name right there. And while we're at it, let's put a little bit of respect on what's happened this week. This has been a wild, wild week so far. What in the NFL, what in football in general has surprised either of you in this first week? What was news to you on the field?
I can't believe the 49ers are so good.
Yeah, what they did to the Cowboys and just the amount of trolling I've seen in the Bay Area of Cowboys fans is completely relentless, and it's just like so hardcore. I've seen so many videos of Cowboys fans crying in the stadium, and those being on every social right now.
I'd feel worse if they weren't Cowboys fans, but here we are. At the end of the day, I get it. But also, you lost to a good team. It's okay, it happens.
You lost to I think the 49ers I think the 49ers right now are sending the message. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah,
I'm not looking forward to this week for my Brownies because we're going up against that 49er attack, and I'm less. I think that our defense can at least slow them down, but with news that Deshaun Watson very well might not play this week because his shoulder is apparently incredibly injured. Just what I think a Cleveland Brown fan base needed this season was another quarterback controversy based on a shoulder and should he or shouldn't he play. It's just an absolute throwback to the Baker Mayfield saga, and I'm just tired of it. But you know what? This whole Deshaun Watson tenure is just going to be a shit show. It's just the way it is. You don't trade for Deshaun Watson after the offseason he had and be like, you know what? we're going to have a normal season of football from here on out.
That's
Nothing
a very
smooth
Cleveland
sailing.
Browns decision. Be like, you know who we should bring in?
You think,
One of the worst subjective people in the whole damn league.
well, yeah, but even with all that, you're still in striking distance in the AFC North.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And,
one game
you
out.
Still
know,
in striking distance. I mean, this is far from a done deal. I mean, if my Steelers can still make it, I mean, anything's possible after. I mean, the Steelers go out and beat the Ravens. Who saw that come?
I'm credit where credit's due. I did not have them having a chance against Baltimore. And you know what? But I didn't have them having a chance against Cleveland either. And those are the kinds of games that Mike Tomlin and those Steelers win. And the fact that they now have those 2 wins in the AFC North under their belt, I still think that they're going to finish third, probably fourth if the Bengals get their act together. But they're showing that it's going to be maybe a 6-10, 7-9 season and you can't take them lightly.
Mm-hmm. Headline. Quick look at the headlines in college football this week. Most of the top teams pretty much they pretty much have teams they should dispatch. The game of the week's in the Pac-12.
I mean,
like a lot of games of the week are in the Pac-12.
I think we have to talk about last week's that crazy game against Arizona USC. I'm assuming neither of you guys were probably up when it was still going on, right?
Oh, I fell asleep at halftime, then woke up for the finish, and I can take Caleb Williams gave a Heisman campaign speech.
That game was so stupid. It was so bad, and both teams were playing so bad at the end. Like, I was watching that, and my partner's like, "Oh, there's still games on?" I'm like, "Kinda." Like, this is really dumb. And great, USC won, but like, did they deserve it? No. Like, the missed, like, easy field goal, the 3 plays before that where they fumbled on 2 of them, nearly threw an interception on 1. It's just like complete chaos, and I don't think it's going to work against Notre Dame this week. I'm sounding like a Notre Dame homer, and I'm not a Notre Dame fan at all. But I know it's not good. I really don't like it. And I'm not defending Lou Holtz, but like, I guess in the Lou Holtz Ryan Day feud, I'm like,
oh really? You side against Ohio State? Think if true.
I mean, also just like the whole political situation in Ohio. I'm calling on Gretchen Whitmer to annex the whole state of Ohio. We can give trans rights and weed. Like, that's pretty appealing, right? Why don't you just be part of Michigan?
We already have weed on the ballot, so at least there's that. Like, Ohio can come through for itself there at least. But you know what? Can't argue on the other front, because you know what? Our representatives are dropping the ball, and frankly, they are very prejudiced. So you know what? Fine.
So you want to become part of Michigan?
I didn't say that.
No, but do you accept that? I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I don't know if I can accept Michigan into my life.
Oh, okay. Let's get an answer by the end of the show. Let's get an answer by the end of the show.
Okay, now a quick note. One quick note. One headline I do want to talk about: WNBA Finals. We're 2 games in. I mean, all I can say is, as a New York Liberty fan, I'm stunned.
It's not looking great.
Wow.
I am absolutely.
Candace Parker's not even playing too.
I am absolutely stunned.
Getting its own franchise, that they too will a 3-1 lead.
Congrats! It's official. There will be a team in Golden State.
Yeah,
and a 14th, and they said a 14th team will start in 25.
I hear.
I think they need to get 4. I think that they're going to shut down expansion at least for a couple of years. And I think give us 4 teams. Come on.
Yeah, Toronto deserves one.
That's interesting. Shelby Weldon says they don't. Shelby Weldon from Outsports had a column a couple days ago saying that they don't deserve one yet, and she's from Toronto. I disagree with her. I think that Toronto. I think that now's the time. If you're going to push to Canada now, do it.
I think Toronto, the Bay,
that edge.
Portland, and then probably some other city.
I could see Cleveland. I wouldn't mind seeing. I mean, everyone knows the four I want: Bay Area, Toronto, Kansas City, Cleveland. Or
there has to be somewhere in the middle.
Unless they're bringing back the Houston Comets. Unless they're bringing back the Comets. But overall, I'm just really stunned at the way the Aces have really come out. And there was a lot of people thinking the Liberty had beaten them during the season. But again, it goes to show you during the season is one thing, postseason is another deal. Although John Kell Jones has played her butt off. And if you're with the Connecticut Sun, you're kind of kicking yourselves that you let her go. You are really kicking yourselves right now because she is showing up. She's still showing up and playing. And Aja Wilson, all I want to know is one question: Who put up the fourth place vote for MVP? Who was it? I don't think you want to show yourself right. You're going to be like Homer. You're going to be like Homer Simpson in the hedges right now. You're hiding out because she's playing like the real MVP.
Yeah, I think she deserves to be a household name. Like, I think she's one of the most talented players, and it's really strange that she hasn't gotten the hype that maybe Brianna Stewart did or Brittany Griner. I think she really deserves the credit.
And there's a lot of people agree with that. I think now is the time. And I think if she continues to be as dominant as she's been the first two games, she'll be that figure. When we come back, we're going to go right into the NFL and the NFL LGBTQIA plus league. We're the league that the NHL does. Do you think there'll ever be an NHL LGBTQIA? Probably not. That and more to come, and to look at the NFL. I'm Karleigh. She's Shauna. She's Chelsea. It's coming out day. Check this out. We'll be back.
I'm transgender.
I haven't been home to Omaha in 4 years. It's 4 years too long. And a lot's happened to me, a lot I haven't told family about. It's time to end that cycle. I haven't seen Omaha, Nebraska since my grandfather died in 2018. And at the time, I was still trying to figure out who I was. And in that time, I figured out who I am, and I figured out what my purpose is. I'm going forward in that.
My coming out happened on August 11th, 2022. It began in a hotel room in Omaha, Nebraska. Headquarters hotel of our family reunion that was coming up that weekend. The memorial service for our dear grandmother happening the next day. I'm sitting face to face with my cousin Mark, drove all the way up from Atlanta for this. And I looked up to Mark growing up. Mark was my boy, and now Mark has to look at me and is like, wait a minute. The little tyke I grew up with is a woman? He hadn't seen me in 4 years. He hadn't seen me through the steps I had taken in my transition. I had a world of fear. And he looked at me and said, fam, I'm just glad you're here, and I'm glad you are you. And look, I live in Atlanta. I've seen all this before. This ain't nothing but a thing. I love you. I accept you. Then a few hours later, I'm sitting in the wine cellar, my cousin Tier's lounge in Omaha. And I have so many cousins and friends, people I grew up with, and we're all sitting around, we're talking, we're laughing, we're reminiscing about the good times. My cousins Ronette and Tanya coming in from California, they saw me and they're embracing me and said, fam, we love you. And they're asking questions. My cousin Courtney comes up and says, hey, there's a lot of people out here not living their truth. I'm proud you're living yours. And there was my cousin Mark and my other cousin Mark. Cousin David flew in from Arizona. And my cousin Tia, like I said, he owns the bar, and my cousin Ira. Now, my cousin Ira and I growing up, we were like siblings. All these cats were like siblings. And these were my boys. And now they find out that something's changed. And again, there was a little bit of that fear, but that fear melted away because, well, they had jokes. Ira opened up. He opened right up. He says, okay, the flare jeans, the Bugle Boy jeans, are those Bugle Boy jeans you're wearing? He's getting on me about this, and everybody's having a good laugh. And they were like, we love you, we accept you, but we have to give you a little bit of the business now. But there was no malice. There was no transphobia. Just loving on their cousin Karleigh. And it extended to the next day as we laid our grandmother to rest. They surrounded me and they said, we love you, fam, and we're just glad you are you. And to a side note, I was embraced and accepted, especially for the cats I was closest to. All black, cisgender, heterosexual men. Don't believe you everything you hear about them. Hashtag just saying. Transphobia and homophobia need not run in families. Everyone should have a coming out, like the one that I was blessed to have. And welcome back to the Gridiron Girls, and I just want to let you know that the following you just watched is true. My name is Karleigh Emmeline Chardonnay Webb, and I just want to come out and say I wear cat ears. Anybody else want to step forward? Shauna, how about you?
I'm actually good. I have nothing to say. Nothing. I think I off my chest. And look, I always like to say, as a bisexual, transsexual woman in a polyamorous lesbian relationship, I really like to make sure I hit all of my numbers, and I also just like calling myself a BLT. So.
And that's why she's a Gridiron Girl. She's just cheeky like that. Chelsea, you have anything to add?
No, I feel like I've done all my coming out long enough ago. So I don't feel like I have any more secrets.
Well, to those of you who've just stepped out or haven't stepped out yet, but may do, happy coming out day, even if it is a couple days late. And just know that you do it on your time, not on anyone else's. When you're ready, you're ready.
And also, it's so, for everyone who is out, it's so important that other people can see you be out. Because even if you don't realize it, you are setting an example. You are acting as a possibility model to the world. And so keep letting that light shine through. We love that. I love coming out day. I'm joking, obviously, before, but it is seriously one of my favorite holidays. Yeah. And so because I just love seeing all of my queer friends being and talking about how amazing it feels in the difference, that sparkle in the eyes. It's beautiful. And, I love it.
I know one thing that's not exactly sparkling, my fantasy team. And now it's time for the NFL LGBTQIA plus league report. No. And you mean I'm not the only one?
No, we're all bad
about their team.
No,
we're all
Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson getting injured was absolutely not what I needed. They're saying, oh, I don't even know if he'll play for the Vikings again. And I'm like, oh, great, just what I needed. Love that for me.
My quarterback can't handle the Taylor Swift pressure. He needs to figure his shit out.
Chelsea, we're going to start with Sasha Grey Pride this week. You're saying your quarterback had 19 points still.
He needs to do better. He needed to put up 50. And he did not.
Yeah, but Kansas City is still winning, even though they are kind of struggling through it. They're 4-1.
That doesn't help me personally. Good for them. Taylor
Well,
Swift's
I don't know,
boyfriend.
you
That's
guys-
great.
Is
But
that, wait a minute. See, is that official?
of course
Is
it's
that
official.
official?
Of course
Is
it's
that-
official.
That
I'm
has
not
something-
entirely sure. Honestly, I think it might just be for show.
It's
and-
not for show. Y'all are being haters.
Right,
Let
I'm
her
not
live
being a
her
hater.
life.
I think
Now wait a minute. You're calling
she's
me a
already
hater?
said-
I'm not hating.
She's
Look
already
at the background.
with
Look at the
Mom.
background. I'm not
skeptical.
hating.
I mean, like, so should we bring up the seemingly ranch thing?
The
Oh my
what?
god, this seems.
The what?
Okay, so she was like taking a selfie with someone in the box, and it was her eating chicken tenders, and it was just ketchup, and then the person titled it ketchup and seemingly ranch. And I'm offended because what is the basic white girl dipping sauce for chicken tenders?
Ranch?
Honey mustard. No,
It's
honey mustard.
Honey. Okay. Hey,
Like I
I'm not a
literally
white
had an
girl. I
ex
don't
who
know
was like
this.
every white girl I take
Yeah, I'm
on a
sorry.
date
This-
just
this
gets
is
honey
out of your
mustard and
expertise,
chicken tenders.
Karleigh. You'll have to
Yes, I
leave
know.
to
This
an
is well
expert
on my
here.
Roman.
Yeah,
it was
I
honey
mean,
mustard. But she went
yeah.
ranch. Big deal. She went ranch. But what does that have to do with Patrick Mahomes on your fantasy team? Why are you saying he doesn't?
He
I mean, you have a
can't
good
live up to the
fantasy-
pressure. He can't. It's okay. He
But also, can we
can't
talk about the
deal with
turf
that
too?
bright of lights.
If Taylor Swift spoke up and used her voice, she could get rid of artificial turf like that. Like, I think that's really what, T Swift's like biggest impact on the NFL should be, getting rid of potential injuries, because she almost saw Travis Kelce get injured just this past week, and I'm like, you can't have that.
And he came back and made some plays after
He
after
did,
coming back in
but
the
you
game.
know what? But that's why my guy Justin Jefferson is out, and I'm not just salty because of that. Like,
Well, he
Well,
should be dating a pop star, and then this would be solved. Why isn't he dating
that's a
Rihanna?
good point.
Let's let's get in on that because here's the thing about here's the thing about all our teams. The common denominator is we're getting good score. We're getting good scores. No, we're putting up points. It's just that
that's true.
In the case, like for example, the Chubby Duckies put up 135 on Chelsea's team this week.
I know I'd be in first if I would have won that. All I needed was like 18 more points.
The core of throws and runs scored 119.64. That is not bad. That's good.
No, I'm
numbers.
beating half the team. It's just not the teams I'm playing against. It is what and that's why.
But a smart move getting a quarterback. But a smart move getting a quarterback this week because Jared Goff gave you 27 points.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy I made the decision to make the switch, and I just had a good feeling. He's getting Jameson Williams back here hopefully soon. He's got weapons. You know what? If I couldn't keep going with Daniel Jones, what a mess.
I mean, you're playing against a team that had Jalen Hurts and you played him even. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Devon. What did Devon Achend got 22 points?
And now
it seems like it's a different Dolphin every week.
Well, I'm hoping that's true because I just picked up Jeff Wilson on free agency because I have a feeling I needed to make some move, and I was like, that's the only person that has any juice on the free agent wire because it's really thin.
You've got my team's defense, Chelsea, and they got 24 points for you.
Yeah, it's been going great. I mean, I don't know. Checking my phone has been a lot less fun the last few weeks on Sundays. Before it was like, oh wow, I'm doing so good. Maybe I know something about this, and then it's like, no, you don't. No idea.
Fantasy football is a humbler.
Well, here's my thing. My team's just getting. I've won since opening week. I've lost 4. I've dropped 4 in a row. And good news is Joe Burrow playing on kind of like 1.5 legs is still doing all right. But once again, the anemic running game I've got is not helping. Shauna, you talked about it in the first segment. The 49ers ripping the Cowboys. Are the 49ers that good or are the Cowboys that bad?
Oh, the 49ers are that good. I mean, I think the Cowboys have been a paper tiger for the last several years, and I don't think this year is any exception. In fact, because they lost their star cornerback to injury too, a couple weeks ago.
Do they give up on Dak Prescott?
I think
because those voices are Those voices are starting to yell loud. And personally, if I'm Dak Prescott, I'll say it right now. If I'm Dak Prescott, I'd ask for a trade. Because he's a good quarterback. He's a potential Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Here's what I'll say
Kirby,
about that.
don't look at me in that tone of voice. He is a potential Super Bowl winning quarterback. He needs out of Dallas.
I don't think he's a potential Super Bowl winning quarterback.
He's a potential
disagree.
Super Bowl winning quarterback, just like Joe Flacco was a potential Super Bowl winning quarterback.
I think he's a potential Super Bowl losing quarterback, but not winning.
To be fair, Joe won one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he can go there, but I don't think it's going to be because of him. I think it's going to be just like. But also, let's not forget the offseason move that the Cowboys made. They traded for Trey Lance, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to see what they have in him by the end of the year.
For sure.
If they're having a losing season, I could see them absolutely turning to Lance in the last 4 to 6 games. So I think keep an eye out there.
Yeah, I think it could be earlier.
I think they'll ditch him. I'd say by game 9, they ditch him.
Okay, I have the vision. It's going to happen on Thanksgiving, second half. They're going to put him in.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, it's going to be drama.
I think he'll Clint Longley, the guy. Super Bowl teams from last year, they don't look great, but they do well enough to pull through.
It's going to be really interesting, especially if the Niners stay healthy, what it's going to look like against the Eagles later in the season.
Again, that game is looming.
Yep. I think that's going to be the NFC Championship game again this year. And I think I think the Niners will probably pull it off if they're healthy. Because they were just basically pulling anyone off the street to play quarterback for them last year.
No, and that's one thing. They've kept their core. They've kept pretty healthy. And that's a good thing. Christian McCaffrey is like I said, he's the Beastmaster.
He's very good.
So that December 3rd game's looming large. A quick look at the AFC. Whoever thought that Bill Belichick would get blanked?
Yeah, I feel like both.
They're starting to come for him.
I mean, rightfully so. I feel like we kind of talked about this Nick Saban earlier in the year. Obviously, Alabama's bounced back somewhat. I feel like we're starting to see the end of both of their kind of reigns, both Belichick and Nick Saban. And I think it's going to be this sad thing where eventually they're going to kind of get pushed into retirement. But they were both arguably some of the best coaches in football history.
Here's the thing. I think the problem right now isn't Bill Belichick, the coach. I think it's Bill Belichick, the GM. He has not done a good job of getting weapons on that offense. Because he could get away with the journeyman wide receiver when your quarterback's Tom Brady, but when your quarterback is, Mac
Bailey
Jones.
Zappi.
People are so upset at Mac Jones. I've seen so many Instagrams from
Boston
Twitter.
Having seen some of the things he did before he was on the public stage, and I'm just like he just has a look about him.
Should the Jacksonville Jaguars just stay in London or not? They won 2 straight.
The NFL probably wants that.
I feel like it's just such a logistical nightmare, to have a team in London. I know it's eventually going to happen, but it just seems like such a mess.
But in the meantime, they're playing. The Jaguars are leading a division.
True.
They've got issues, but they also got talent. Trevor Lawrence is getting it. Travis Etienne is just unbelievable. Is lights out. They're not a great team, but they're good enough to win that division.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good. And honestly, I think that's the best way of thinking about the Jaguars right now. They're a good enough team to win a bad division, and you know what? That's still something. You still have to be the team winning the bad division. And especially with, Richardson injured for the Colts, but even though they're bringing Taylor back in the fold, but who else is in that division? It's just the Titans. What are the Titans going to do? The Titans needed to move on from Ryan Tannehill 3 years ago. They're every year they know they should upgrade from Ryan Tannehill and don't.
Shauna, what game makes you curious this week?
Ooh, game of the week. Let's see. Maybe the Lions Buccaneers is actually a sneaky good game. Could totally be down.
I like that one. I'll tell
I
you
think
what,
that
the
could be
Lions,
you're
Jared
not.
Goff
I'm
is
like looking at
playing.
the slate. I'm like, not a lot of great games this week. Like every team's kind of playing like an okay team. Like just see race to the bottom, Vikings Bears. Like gross.
I'm excited to see Taylor Swift primetime, Chiefs Broncos. It will really be her whole thing.
Oh God. It will be, because honestly, do you really want to see?
I mean, you get Sierra being sad, you get Taylor Swift being happy.
Because that's another person who I think a team is giving up on. I think the Broncos are about ready to give up on Russell.
You need to.
They're about ready to give up on Russell Wilson.
You know what? As bad as Deshaun Watson has been, and he has been very bad, I would be furious if we had traded for Russell Wilson instead at this point.
Like, it would have made sense, though. Like,
it would have
it
absolutely would have made. Like, at the time I was thinking, gosh, I wish we had traded for Russell Wilson instead. But even as though Watson has been a mistake, and I don't particularly want him as my quarterback either on or off the field right now.
None of my teams can lose because none of my teams are playing. Steelers have the bye week. Nebraska off. Northwestern off. But there's a lot to talk about in college football, including a game that's in the Pacific time zone, but it's definitely going to have East Coast attention. That and more when we come back to the Gridiron Girls. I'm Karleigh. She's Shauna. She's Chelsea. We're the girls. We'll be back.
The following is a Heisman political broadcast from the lefties from the Pacific Northwest Party.
This guy can play. His accuracy is something that you can't
Michael Penix's Heisman resume just looks better and better.
Michael Penix lets that ball go from his own 35 and throws it on an absolute dart string. And Michael Penix would be my Heisman Trophy winner.
We came to put it on the board, bro.
And it is fun to watch.
It's a blast.
One of the best offenses in college football. Why? Because they got one of the best quarterbacks in college football.
The end zone. What a throw!
This guy's making throws that are it's just ridiculous.
Are you kidding me? Penix Jr. just dropping the football on a dime. Michael Penix Jr. only threw the ball 60 yards off his back foot there with somebody in his face. No big
I've
deal.
been telling you since the summer that Michael Penix is a great Heisman candidate.
Penix looking left side.
Keep your eye on the lefty from Washington, Michael Penix. He throws as pretty a ball as any quarterback in college football.
Think they're going to let them foot off the gas pedal? How about that throw?
Gosh, that ball just drops in beautifully over the top.
Penix Jr. is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He's going to throw it downfield, and he hits ball. Man, is that a beauty? Rip it down the field, Michael Penix. And Michael Penix trying to make that Heisman resume.
And welcome back to the Gridiron Girls. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb, along with Chelsea Poe and Shauna Adkison. We're going to talk a little college football right now, but first, it's the college football fun fact. Chelsea, what you got?
As you may know, Michigan is approaching its 1,000th win, making it the FBS team with the most number of wins. So my question to you is, what team has the most number of losses in FBS? Or even if you can get any of the top three, I'm going to be very impressed.
The most losses in FBS.
Yes.
Okay. Sean, do you want to guess first, or you want me to guess first?
I'm going to go with, I'm like, okay, what's like an old, storied franchise, but that's not very good. I'm going to say, let's go with a random, like Wisconsin.
No. Do you
New
want
Mexico
to take a guess?
State?
No, New Mexico State's too new. They're
okay.
So the top three are all in the same conference.
Okay, the top three, are they all Power Fives?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Northwestern.
Northwestern is number 2.
Okay.
Oh my God, Nebraska, that's so mean.
Nebraska's in the top 10. Bite your tongue, dang it.
Okay, do you want another shot?
Okay, yeah, why not? Because you said they're all okay. So we've
Yes.
all established they're all Big Ten teams.
Yes.
So Northwestern, Purdue.
No. Okay, I can tell you. So
All right.
number 5 is Kansas, with
Kansas is going to be
675,
my first guess.
and then Wake Forest with 677 losses, and then
All right.
Rutgers. Obviously they're the first college football team, so they have 689. And number 1 is Indiana, who Michigan's actually playing this weekend. So we have the team with the highest number of wins and highest number of losses playing this weekend.
Looking at the key games, Chelsea, just what jumps out at you in college football this week?
I mean, it's Oregon, Washington. I mean, I think this might be a game that seems very important now. It might have no impact on the college football playoff down the road because I could see either team getting tripped up in the future. But I think this is just a really big matchup between Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. And I think it's going to be really exciting.
This is a Heisman. This is a Heisman campaign debate. That's what this is.
Yeah,
and
I want it with some rain. I want it full blown Pacific Northwest. I want this whole thing to really encompass both Washington and Oregon.
By the way, did you notice the new Oregon uniforms? They're wearing the duck egg look this week.
Oh, I hate those so much. I hate it. Do you guys like that one?
I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of Oregon uniforms. And tell you the truth, I'm not gonna lie. Given Oregon's coaches, kind of his I'm going to say his demeanor at the Colorado game, I'm not gonna lie. I want to see Michael Penix Jr. put up a Heisman campaign speech.
This looks like
I will own the fact that I'm kind of sour on Oregon because here's
this looks like something DuckTales would wear. What a weird outfit!
Yeah, they've done this a few times, honestly.
Egg? Oh yeah, they did the big reveal and all this stuff. They did the reveal all over their social media. It's funny. Their coach says, "We aren't playing for clicks." Really now?
It is very funny that Oregon was the team that was trying to be like their traditional college football power when they're wearing like highlighter yellow every week.
Well, when they're wearing like 50 million different uniforms every week. But no, seriously.
I like it. I like
this
it.
is going to be Bo Nix.
Unique.
Now, I'll admit, my tongue will confess that Bo Nix is a serious player. And seriously, this game is going to be close. I think Washington's going to win it. It's going to be close. But I think both players are going to give a good account of themselves. And they're really going to push Caleb Williams now. Because Caleb Williams is a heck of a player, but Chelsea, you say USC, not that good a team.
I mean, look at what they did against Arizona. I understand Pac-12 after dark gets crazy, and that's why I love it. And it always gets so stupid at the end of the night because it's like the last game on. The referees give up at some point. I feel like in most Pac-12 after dark games where the rules just start getting weird. Because it's like, who's watching? It's 3 a.m. on the East Coast. I compared this game on Twitter to... Do you guys know about Jack in the Box? Because you guys are both on the East Coast, so you might not know about it.
I know Jack. Yeah, the rest... the chain.
Yeah, so do you know what the Munchie Meal Box is?
It's a lot of different stuff,
Yeah, so what they do is... They'll have like a regular like burger, and then they'll be like, what if we put 5 exploded tater tots on it or something, or like a jalapeno pepper, and they do this weird thing, and then you get 3 tacos, you get curly fries, regular fries, and just like all the weird stuff. And that's why I feel like that game was. At the end of it, everything was just getting thrown in. Fumbles for no reason, bad kicks. Just like it started evolving so much. And I feel like that's what Pac-12 After Dark's about. And I love it. But it's also complete madness. And that's what I'm going to be sad about next year is I'm assuming we're probably not going to get this anymore. I'm assuming we're not going to get the games that kick off 8 p.m. here. So I'm really excited about seeing the Pac-12 really be focused. But back to my point, I just don't think USC is going to be able to compete. Again, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I hate Notre Dame. But I feel like they've been tested every single week. Like, they've been the game of the week for like a month straight.
So in other words, what you're telling me is you're going to take Notre Dame.
I would like to see Notre Dame win. I think they definitely have a chance. Sam Hartman, I think, is a really great quarterback. They've been in, the game of the week for 4 weeks in a row because they played Ohio State. They played Duke.
They had the loss to Louisville.
Oh, yeah, it was Louisville who they just lost to.
Yeah, they had the loss. They lost to Louisville by 13. And but even with that, they're still alive in this thing.
I mean,
remember the Vatican always gets up. If they beat USC, they're still alive in this playoff hunt.
I don't think so. I don't think there's ever going to be a 2-loss team in this current form of the playoff. But I think just having like the big game spotlight that they went Ohio State game of the week, they went to Duke when Duke had their like big game of the week, college game day. Louisville was the huge game this last week, and Louisville had this like giant like field storming moment. I feel like they've just been through this so much now that I think they're gonna come into the game against USC confident and ready to pull an upset.
Now, Chelsea won the Chelsea Post Sleeper game of the week. Chelsea Post Sleeper the game of the week. And this is a special one because you want to talk about old school Western Athletic Conference football.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that, this is for you.
I mean, Hawaii won me over. It was such a great experience. I think anyone who ever ends up on Oahu during college football season should definitely go. It's unlike anything. Yeah, I love that there's always late games that start at like 11 p.m. Eastern time. I always thought that was the coolest thing. And especially being on the West Coast, I'm always throwing that on at the end of the night. So Hawaii's playing San Diego State, I'm sorry. And yeah, a nightcap, everyone throw it on. Why not? It's on CBSN.
I found a game they'll be interesting in, and they'll be interesting. It's in Division 3. Nice little game in Meadville, Pennsylvania. Shauna Atkinson's alma mater taking on Grove City at home this week.
Big game. But that's nearby rivalry for sure.
And one thing is they could use the win right now because they've taken some knocks. They lost to number 24 ranked Carnegie Mellon 19-3. Lost to Washington Jeff in a close one last week. So they're looking to get off. They're looking to get off the schneid. And since that game is going to be streamed, we're gonna get some Allegheny highlights in next week.
Bring us out to the game. Get us on the sidelines.
Hey, we're gonna work on that. But just to make Chelsea one more time, make sure I got it right. You're taking Notre Dame over USC.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I might look like a fool in a few days, but I'm feeling like they definitely could. That it's in South Bend, I think, it's a huge advantage. I don't think USC had a road test like that yet.
Well, let me put it this way. Your picks can't be nearly as wild as the picks coming up. It's time for Kirby's Corner.
Hey, Curb, it's time for the corner.
Now, Karleigh, it's time for you to get a life.
Curb, you know we do this every week, so let's just get on with it and quit being such a fussy kitty.
Oh, all right. Let's get the picks going this week. First things first, the Bengals host the Seahawks. Ugh, I notice I haven't heard from your friends yet.
Keep it up. They'll get to you.
Anyway, Geno Smith not beating Joe Burrow. Even if Joe Burrow's playing on one leg, Burrow's gonna win that thing. Bengals 26, Seahawks 24. Now the Panthers. Oh, do I have to pick the Panthers?
Yes, you do.
The Panthers, they're playing the Dolphins. You know what that means. They gotta play that tuna tender vittles guy.
His name is Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, whatever. There's no way they're gonna stop tuna tender vittles. It's not gonna happen. Dolphins 45, Panthers 21. Now, Colts against the Jaguars. I'm telling ya, liking those Jaguars right now. Trevor Lawrence, ATN, those cool Clemson cats, that Ridley out there on the wing snagging passes. The Jaguars are going to beat up on the Colts 31-17, no doubt. And Lions, Buccaneers, Baker who? Really? You know, Shauna was right about Baker Mayfield. The Browns gave up on him, and they were smart to do it. Lions are going to go all over the Buccaneers, 35-16.
Hey, Curb, how about those Southern Jaguars? They kind of took it on the chin last week.
Don't remind me. That's okay, they'll get those Rattlers at the SWAC Championship. We're gonna catch them on the rebound, homie. In the meantime, they're playing the Oaklanders of Lincoln, California. Well, this will be a walkover. Southern 33, Lincoln 7. Now, those are the picks. Now, if you don't mind, I'm catching some.
Just when you think Kirby can't get more off the range, there she goes. Love the cat. Love having Kirby the Cat on this show. Welcome back to the Gridiron Girls.
Kirby,
I'm Karleigh.
I'm transgender.
You're trans? Like I didn't know. Shauna, thank you for sharing.
I wanted Kirby to know that. On this National Coming Out Day.
I think Kirby knows. I came out to Kirby.
Okay.
I came out to Kirby too. No, Kirby told me, and I quote,
That's nice. Just keep filling the bowl.
Love you, Kirby. But welcome back to the Gridiron Girls. And we're now on to the home stretch segment. And I want to know right up front, Chelsea, how was the shoot? We talked about the big shoot last week. How'd it go?
It was the craziest thing I've ever shot. It was very, very intense. Most porn shoots are like 20 to like 60 minutes. And this one was well over 90. So it was very intense. I can't wait for everyone to see it. It's still crazy to me that I'm the only trans woman who's ever shot this style of scene now, which is really crazy.
On coming out.
Thanks. I'm completely covered in bruises everywhere still right now. Yeah, it was every intensity I thought it was going to be, and that was an all queer set, and yeah, it was just like such a great space, and really doing a project this big that I've been working on in one way for 9 months since I've been planning this, but in another way for 10 years since I moved out to the Bay to pursue this at Kink. It was a really special thing, and we worked with a few other porn companies. So we actually had the lights that used to be in the Kink Armory with their logos on it still on set. Cool. So it was that, and then I got to make a Courtney Trouble of Trouble Films, and Princess Donna fucking killed it. So it was just really amazing to put all this hard work into it and really physically do kind of like the hardest thing I've ever done. So
do you have a favorite part that like of your scene so far? I'm like that like really like stood out. That was like either great to film or you think it turned out really well.
Yeah. I think it's just like the scale of it really turned out well. We got, I think, around 50 people to show up. And I just think we really did a good job. I did so much prep for this scene, like for literal months of anal prep and stuff, and did more intense stuff than I've ever done in my life. And everything's fine. I just have some bruises, and that's about it. Like, I have no discomfort anywhere. Which is a big win, because especially if you're doing like extreme anal things in porn, sometimes after you're like, I'm not injured, but there's discomfort, or just being like, oh, I should have prepped more. I feel like I could be an anal coach now and be like, I can get you on a regimen that you can do extreme things, and I never really felt that way about myself before. I was just like get back into it.
Because like when you're doing that kind of heavy, intense like impact scene, you absolutely it's literally taking a toll on you. Like you've got like no, I think that's absolutely fair. And and I think it's something that as we like talk about like our varying extracurricular activities, I think you bring up a really great point that there is like a sport like sense to it, that all the training you have to put your body through.
I think this is the absolute most intense level of porn I can do. Even after we were talking about it, we're like, what else would be more intense? It's like, I don't really think there is much.
Shauna, how about you? What you got going on?
Well, not nearly as many bruises as Kelsey, but
if you were doing it recreationally, I'd be like, "Are you okay, girl?"
I mean, it's the same process, really. The same kind of aftercare, the same kind of making sure. No, nothing of that. I'm a good. I would not. Anyways, we're just gonna move on before I just.
Shauna has good Midwestern values.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Wait, how can you have good Midwestern values? You're from Ohio.
Oh.
I had to. I'm sorry. Oh, well, now that we're near the end of the show, do you want to annex Ohio or?
You know what? Ohio sucks, but Ohio is still in my heart forever. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to stay its own state. No, but I always have love for Michigan. But no, I think Ohio's where the heart is, and I gotta stay there for. We're gonna stay our own state.
Okay.
Hopefully, these jackass politicians can, lose some of their bigotry and prejudice. Though I'm not optimistic.
Shauna, what's it like though to have a partner, have a spouse who's in that firing line? Your spouse spoke at this hearing.
They did, and I'm always incredibly proud of my spouse. Like, Dara's an amazing person, and they are so just like it was actually. So we met at debate camp, all many years ago. We were policy debaters, and so hearing them talk honestly is just like this like really great nostalgia for me because like it brings me back to like them that I knew in high school. And so in like high school, college age. And so like I'm just absolutely beaming and proud because I know it's not easy standing up to that. Like my heart was racing listening to it. And I'm just, they're so good at putting forth their talks and for, being quick on their feet and just much love to them.
We're gonna head right into the home stretch, go to the last call. Shauna, what do you got?
So this is something that I noticed during the season that absolutely drove me up a wall. So I'm trying to watch football with my young child, and he's at at a good just like a kindergartner. So he's like just young enough that you want to try and start getting in, sharing this love of sports that we all have. You always want to kind of share
Indoctrination.
One way of looking at it, sure. And at the end, you got to, start them young, so a lifelong of Browns fandom, self-loathing for it. But, but that's basically what you do. You got to do what you got. Anyways, but my point is, we're watching and there's a commercial for The Exorcist. And I'm just like, and it is absolutely creepy. Her head's spinning around. And I'm like, so I'm like doing the eye cover. I'm like, what are we doing here, folks? Showing like horror movie commercials at a 1:00 game on a Sunday afternoon. This is like, I'm very far from the we have to make sure that like children are protected kind of thing. But like, I think it's a certain degree of like, okay, like maybe this is after 7:00. Where or for the 8:00 game, where at least you're likely thinking that like a 10-year-old is at least watching, who can process these things in a different way. But like afternoon games, I just feel like that we should collectively all or show like a movie. Like I saw an idea on Twitter from Casey Sager about how just show like the audience clips. Like I thought that was such a great idea, or the reactions. There's ways to have the commercials without showing the actual scary parts. It's just both as a parent, I'm just like, can we not? That's what's good. That's my statement.
I like that statement.
Horror movies during those especially that early game.
Yeah, come on. I don't want to have to the world's scary enough.
Honestly, I think there's okay, this is like a statement that everyone always talks about, but like there's way too many commercials in American sports. Like when you watch the World Cup or like European sports, whether it's F1 or like a soccer match, there's not all the commercials in the middle of it. And especially like College football's terrible with it. I'll have the multicam thing on where it'll be 4 games and they're all at commercial at the same time. And I just like can't with that.
Like we watched the Toy Story game. We thought it was great. Like
Yeah,
wasn't
the Toy Story game cool? It was.
I thought it was
It's so
cool.
much fun.
I appreciated it. It was a gimmick, but you know what? Like, I love the Nickelodeon game. I like the Toy Story game. I think there are a lot of great ways that we should be trying to grow this sport that we love into the younger generation, which is exactly part and parcel why we shouldn't be showing horror movies. Because if you want them to watch, then what are we doing here?
Joseph, what you got for the last call?
Okay, I have a really strong take. No turfs allowed. Why do we accept that we are ruining athletes' careers with poor field conditions? It's ridiculous. I looked up today. I was like, okay, let's say we feasibly get rid of all the turf fields. And I'm like, okay, it'll probably be like 20, 25 of them. We're only at like 15 or 16. I think it's ridiculous that we're continuing to play on turf fields, even though they've obviously came a very long way since the 70s. But just the amount of athletes' careers that were completely destroyed by it. What we're finding out from the infill, the rubber little pellets, that obviously if you ever played on a field like that, they get into every surface you ever own. I was finding that in my bag and around my house after playing, probably 5 years after playing soccer, because they skid everywhere. They have been linked to cancer. I just don't understand how we're continuing to, at the highest level of the NFL, expect our players to play on this, and there not really being much of a debate about it until very recently. I think it needs to be the same standard as World Cup soccer. I don't think there should be any NFL game on anything other than natural grass. As you said earlier, maybe Taylor Swift needs to take this cause. I also think it's ridiculous that teams are scheduling to play a day after the field was just played on. Miami did that. So the University of Miami had that last minute Hail Mary they lost on. And then the next day, the Dolphins played on the same field, despite it being a rainy game that basically wrecked the field. I think it's ridiculous that we're not taking that more seriously. I don't know if it's going to be the Players Association eventually threatening to not play on turf fields, but I think there just needs to be a real solution to it.
Well, my final call this week actually comes from a story that I've done recently in Outsports. Imagine, if you will, a young woman named Brooklyn Ross, as we speak, is playing collegiate tennis. Last year she's in grad school at National Louis University, just a stone's throw from where I went to school at Northwestern up in Illinois. She has one more year of eligibility. She has a goal of going to Division II national championships for the first time of her career. She's played at 2 other schools in her career and has done well. In her freshman year, she played at Metropolitan State College in Denver, Colorado. She was a freshman of the year in her conference. Then, looking to improve her game, wanted to get to a program with a little bit more competition and also to play well to learn the game at sea level. Because of aspirations in the professional game, she took her talents to the University of Texas at Tyler, was a competitive player, was a number 1 singles player, was on their top doubles team, put together a winning record in 3 years there, got her degree there. And now she's at National Louis. Her goal, she has one box she really wants to tick off, and that's to get to NCAA Division II Nationals before she calls it at least a collegiate career. Oh, by the way, Brooklyn Ross is a transgender woman. And Brooklyn Ross, throughout 5 years of her college eligibility, has received exactly no static for being who she is. None. 0. She's been allowed to play the game without the noise, without the vitriol. And she was an accomplished player. and has done well. And by all appearances, given that she's currently 2-0 in the fall season that she's in right now, she's doing pretty well. But in August, just before she headed back to school, she ran into the noise. She entered into an open tournament called the Governor's Cup, which was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, just a little bit up the interstate from Denver, where she lives. And she just wanted to play. But apparently, someone got wind of who she is and her being trans, and they caused a stink. And state legislators up there who are trying to make a political point raised this stink. And then other people who always raise the stink, the usual turf suspects, not the turf you play on, the turfs we don't like, they raise the stink.
We don't like either turfs, to be fair.
Yeah. And Brooklyn decided, I don't want all this nonsense. I just want to play tennis. She withdrew from this tournament, even though the organizer of the tournament was begging her, don't do it, don't do it. If you want to know more, there will be a link to this Outsports article in our liner notes and in our comments.
It was a really good article. I really enjoyed reading it and hearing about her story. And I love seeing those positive focuses on players who, who aren't getting a spotlight because, she's doing well for herself. But she's
and she's done very well. And getting to talk to her, she's wonderful. She's happy. She's gotten to play well. But the biggest thing that I want to point out here, and this is something that I want people to realize as they're hearing, because the noise is still going to happen. And the noise has happened in other places. And there are going to be more stories to come out in the weeks ahead. The one thing is that at all the programs that she's played at, all three of them, including one that's in an area that's decidedly trans unfriendly, at least the state that is. The school wasn't. Coaches even at University of Texas Tyler, coaches were affirming, they were supportive, athletic program affirming and supportive, teammates weren't dropping dime to Breitbart and Outkick, they were supportive. Brooklyn was just another woman on the team at every team she's been in. And that's the way it should be, because that's what happens when you don't listen to Martina Transfobatalova and Nancy Hogshead Makar and all these other people in the landscape, and you just let a trans person be, let them play, show them support, and don't listen to all the noise. When that happens, a Brooklyn Ross happens. She's had a winning, successful college experience. And may it continue. And it's my sincere wish, having had the opportunity to interact and meet this young woman, that she has all the success in this coming tennis season. And next year at Division II Nationals, we get to hear, now entering the court from National Louis University, singles player Brooklyn Ross. And I would like to be there to see that. Cover her match and cheer her on. To every coach, to every school administrator, to every person in sports who might be a teammate, all you have to do is block out the noise. The trans people who could be your teammates or by extension be your classmates would appreciate that. And that's the Gridiron Girls for this week. And we thank you all for joining us this week. We love doing this show. We love doing it for you. And just a reminder, if there's something you want to see, something you want to say, or someone you want to see, here in the Gridiron Girls locker room, please leave a message in the comments. Leave a message at our Instagram page. Leave a message on our Twitter page. We want to hear your feedback, but again, just a note, if you're coming here bringing turf icons women, Karens against women's sports, transphobic nonsense, just understand, you will get Dikembe. Know this. If you know, you know. And that's the Gridiron Girls for this week. It's been fun. Enjoy those games. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb.
I'm Chelsea Poe.
And I'm Shauna Adkison.
Bye, everyone.
And yes, and just so you know, since it's coming out day, we're all trans. So long, everybody. See you next week. Enjoy the games.